This podcast will hopefully contain words or statements of obscene, pornographic, or immoral character. You have been warned.
Received dozens of emails from people that'll listen to the podcast. The podcast.
Wow,
The
it is
podcast.
pretty much.
Right, fuck it. 62. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Is it 62?
Fuck, I was wrong. 61. 1, 2, 3, go.
Fucking time warp episode. I want to hear about your weekend because it sounds really cool, but I have a bit of news I want to start with just because it's not anything that has to take real long to talk about, but very exciting. Extremely, extremely super exciting because we have talked about this before on here, I believe, and we've talked about it outside of here for years, I feel like, but it's official. We're getting Gwar action figures.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who's making them?
So I forget the name of the company, but they do, it's more of like a mid-tier kind of company. It's not like one of the big dogs, but I forget the name of it, honestly, but,
Is it Super 7? Because they've been fucking pumping shit out.
Dude, okay, well, side note, yes, they have been, and it's funny because I thought about Butch the other day. I just saw that they have a D. Snyder figure that they're doing for Super 7. It's and it's him in the Stay Hungry makeup, like from the album cover. He comes with a little bone and stuff. So I'm definitely going to be getting myself one of those. And I have been over the years collecting a lot of their like more like punk rock and metal figures that they've come out with. And I have about, I don't know, 10 of them, 10 or 12 of them. And there's a couple over the last few years that I wanted to get that I didn't end up picking up yet. But now it's at a point where I'm about 12 figures behind on ones I want to get that they've put out. So I need to get caught up on that. But anyway, I always thought it would be cool if Super 7 would do the Gwar size figures that they do, like the reaction figures that are, those same size, like the 3 3/4.
Yeah.
And I'm really shocked they've never actually done it with them yet, because I mean, that just seems like the perfect avenue for them to go with those figures. But this new company, so that's putting these figures out, a buddy of mine was in New York this past week there's some toy con going on there. I forget which one it is. But he sent me a picture of this toy company. They had these Gwar figures on display.
Oh, really?
And they're like basically the finished sculpts of everything. And I guess the holdup right now is they are waiting for the band to approve them before they go into mass production. But they're really fucking cool. Like whoever sculpted these, man, they're like top level fucking figures, dude. They look fucking awesome, and they're 5 inches. And the way that whoever did them, like the body forms of them, they kind of look like He-Man style figures.
How fucking awesome is that?
Yeah, so I was always of the belief that doing them more sort of like Mego style would have been cool. So they had like, more like modernized Mego where, there's like way more points of articulation and stuff. So I kind of figured if anybody was ever going to do them, they were going to do them that way. So I kind of wasn't really expecting the sort of like He-Man style of these figures, but they're fucking badass.
Dude, yes, I have just looked them up. They're fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're so awesome. So any Guar
Would that
fans,
be Trick or Treat Studios?
I think that's it. Yeah, I knew it was something like Halloween related. Yeah. So they've done a bunch of other stuff too, but dude, those figures are fucking killer. I've wanted Guar action figures for so fucking long, and there was that whole tease about shit 10 or 12 years ago where there was some company, I think it was like called Toy Shock or Hot Shock or something like that. But anyway, they were going to do Guar figures, and they did a test shot of the Beefcake the Mighty, and they were selling those at Comic-Con one year, and I actually bought one. And so those things are like pretty rare now. They're like worth money. But that company, for whatever reason, didn't get the license to do the rest of the figures. So they only did that Beefcake, and it never even fully materialized into being like a posable figure. It was basically like a statue bust, like a full length body bust. So anyway, that was really disappointing when that never happened. And like I said, that was like a decade ago. So now, yeah, it looks pretty sure that these figures are going to come out. Like
Yeah, they've got them. You can order them.
Oh, so they're already for order now. It must, because I just checked a couple. Yeah, pre-order.
Pre-book them. Yeah.
Yeah, but my friend sent me a picture of them, and he's like, dude, check these fucking Guar figures out that are coming out. He's like, these are so sick. He's like, I knew you would want to see this. But yeah, anyway, I just found this out about 3 or 4 days ago, and I couldn't believe how fucking good they look. But the coolest thing about them, though, is so the figures are based off the current lineup of the band, which makes sense. But I was like, man, like, just sucks there's no Odorous figure, right? Well, no, that's not true, because if you buy all 5 of the band members currently in the band, each figure comes with a piece of Odorous that if you buy all 5, you can build the Odorous figure separately.
That is badass.
Super fucking stoked. And dude, I mean, you just saw them. How fucking good do they look?
They look awesome. They're very He-Man-esque. But to me, that's fucking perfect. Like, that's where it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. Because I never even would have thought of doing like He-Man style figures. But when I saw them, I was like, oh, that's the only way to go.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's like no brainer.
Yeah. So anyway, in doing research about the figures, I realized that Guar is actually getting ready to tour. They're doing a U.S. tour, but they're not playing the West Coast, which sucks. But they're the fucking ex-cops are playing these shows with Guar, so they're doing like a double header show.
I didn't see that. I did see Cancer Crisis fucking playing with them, which I am fucking stoked on, and that alone makes me want to go to the show.
And Negative Approach is playing too.
Yeah, so I might have to actually buy tickets and go.
Yeah, so I was like, anybody, because it looks like they're doing a show in Columbia, Maryland. I'm not sure what venue that would be. And they're playing, I think, Reading, Pennsylvania.
Reading. Yeah, that's the one I saw.
But anyway, yeah.
Fuck, they're not playing Merriweather. Nah,
it can't be that.
I wonder. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Let's focus on our focusings.
So yeah, anybody over in Maryland, Virginia area, Pennsylvania area listening, definitely go check that show out, because that's a fucking badass show. And the fact that ex-cops are playing again.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
That's fucking badass. If you don't know about the ex-cops, that is a side project of Guar from like the early mid 90s, where they dressed up like cops, and they have an album, You Have the Right to Remain Silent, that came out in like 95 on Metal Blade. And that's, I mean, Dave Brockie Experience to me is the best side project band of Guar, but Ex-Cops is definitely tied for first.
And now for this week's Glitch in the Internet.
Tell us how it feels to be a pot-smoking fucking hippie, you douchebag.
Now back to the program.
You did something really, really fucking cool yesterday that I'm excited to hear all about.
Oh, yeah. We drove to DC. Magical. And I guess I did not realize that Dammy Doodle has not really, well, she's been to DC, but not to the museums, or to the museums, but not the monuments and stuff. Not that I think we've ever did a lot of that, but I guess growing up here, like we were fed that stuff nonstop, school
Yeah.
trips. So we were always going to Smithsonian at least every other year, and going to see the fucking monuments. So it's kind of lost on me when like she doesn't have that experience. She didn't grow up here. So it's odd to me because like I think of DC and I'm like, oh, I don't want to fucking go there.
Well, it's like the Antietam battlefield. Like we grew up like 20 minutes from there, and it's like that. I mean, I went to that place a shitload of times as a kid and stuff, but it's like to us, it's like this is literally a bunch of fucking cornfields. Like, who gives a fuck? But there's like people that come from like Europe to go there and stuff. So it's like,
dude, it is so nuts. And I do want to go back to Antietam. That's the same thing with Gettysburg. We live fucking how far from Gettysburg? Never been there until she and I went for the first time. Like, it's nuts. Like 3 years ago was the first time I've ever been to Gettysburg. I'm 50 fucking years old.
yeah, when I went like 2 years ago when I was back visiting, that's the first time I'd been there since I was like a real little kid or something. And I didn't really remember anything about it.
So it was crazy. So let me get back on. She and I went as I guess it was kind of like our 3-year anniversary trip
Nice.
to the Museum of Failure, which is a traveling exhibit that brings products to people that failed. Of course, perfect example, which makes me sad, is like the laser disc. Fucking makes me sad because I was a big proponent of the laser disc. I bought it. I bought into it. I understood what the positive things were that came with it. I mean, how are you going to the DVD blew it away because the technology had gotten so good.
Well, yeah, but like, hold up a second though, because I mean, can you really call the Laserdisc a failure though? I mean, they had Laserdisc players for a long time.
So there were, and that is a great fucking question because she and I had that discussion. There are certain things that are considered failures that I honestly don't know if they are failures. Donald Trump steaks, that's a failure.
Was that there?
It was there.
Wait, I don't even know if I know about this.
Oh my God. I think right before he ran for president, he came out with a line of steaks and meat products.
Okay.
And like fucking 4 steaks were, I think, basically $1,000. And then like 12 hamburgers were like, I think they're $2.99. I read on the card. It was just so he had his own little section because for as many wins as Trump has, there are as many fails because he did like a Donald Trump University that I think lasted for 4 years, but then eventually shut down because it really wasn't accredited. And so there's just all kinds of crazy shit. But they had.
Well, wait, hold on. Did they have was there like a whole Donald Trump section basically?
He had like a little, actually he had his own little. So the way it was set up is they'd have like 4 elements of failure basically per exhibit, give or take.
Okay.
So like inside of like the beta, there were like 3 other, like the Zune was in there. And they had,
that was like the little like MP3 player. Is that what that was?
Yeah, that was. So if you're a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, that was a big joke at the end of the fucking second one was fucking Chris Pratt's character got a Zune, whatever the fuck it was called, at the end of the movie, and it held like 150 songs or something. And he was fucking stoked because initially he only had a mixtape that had like whatever 12 songs per side or something. And all of a sudden he had the Zune that had like 150 songs and he was blown away.
So and that was like the Microsoft equivalent.
Yes.
Right.
That was them trying to get into the MP3 player business. And it just, as we can see, it failed.
Yeah.
And yes, I would like to go back to the Laserdisc, because the Laserdisc, in my eyes, is totally not a fucking failure, because that technology brought forth CDs, and from CDs came the DVDs, and then they also had the HD DVDs.
I remember those. Yeah.
So they brought those were there as well. I'm like, why is this here? And I'm like looking, I'm like, oh, I forgot about it, because I think
Well, that was basically like the Betamax versus VHS.
yeah, and I mean, honestly, the failure of Beta wasn't that it was shittier, it's technically better by all means,
Yeah.
but Sony held on to the fucking patent, and you had to get the patent through Sony. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right on this. They held on to that patent super tight, where the VHS was everybody was getting licenses to do it. So it wasn't that the product was inferior. In fact, it was better, but Sony had their fucking heads up their ass and fucking held on, and it was like, no, we're not going to license it. I think there was only like 3 companies that I can think of that actually made Beta players because of the licensing. And so some of it's just moronic fucking people at the top not doing, like the proper. A lot of times on the cards it did say without doing the proper market research. It was like these people did these things.
Well, yeah, they just got greedy. If they wouldn't have gotten greedy and just licensed that shit, they would have fucking
yeah, because it was better. Like resolution wise, like it was I think it was like 172 for VHS, and Beta's like 225, like resolution wise, which is ridiculous to think of, because we're at 1080 right now for standard.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's ridiculous to think of. And Laserdisc at that time was shooting at 415, I think.
Wow.
So like there was a noticeable quality. But I mean, with the fucking DVDs coming out, and once again, that's where 2 companies fighting it out. It was like Samsung, and I can't remember who came out with the other DVD, and the Samsung one lost, and the Blu-rays took off.
Gotcha. Well, Blu-ray, correct me if I'm wrong, that is like a Sony-based technology. Is that correct?
And I cannot answer honestly, but it's very possible that they learned their lesson and fucking did that. But they also had some great, like Howard Hughes's Spruce Goose was referenced. They had like some really weird, bizarre shit that, it's like, what the fuck were people thinking?
Right.
Like they had it was called like the hula chair, that basically while you were sitting, and apparently Ellen made it famous on one of her shows, because she tried to actually sit and do work, and she couldn't because her fucking ass was moving all over the place, because it basically moved your hips back and forth while you're working. And it wasn't like a couple inches, it's like 5 or 6.
Oh shit.
Like this thing moved.
People were getting like displaced pelvic bones and shit.
I don't think anybody ever bought the motherfuckers.
That's
but
crazy.
It was awesome. They had like this face mask that Linda Evans was the spokesmodel for from Dynasty. And it basically was a mask that had all these like little electrodes in it. And it was supposed to stimulate or decrease wrinkling and stuff.
Okay.
And it was like 1,000 little bees biting my face while I put it on. It was so horrible. And it looked like there's no way you wanted to wear this thing. It looked like a fucking Jason mask. It's like it had eye holes and that was it, but it was flesh colored.
Okay.
Oh, so it was horrible looking.
So
you like wore it on your face.
Yeah.
And it basically was supposed to stimulate your skin and keep it from aging. So there was another great one that it was to kind of stimulate your body while you were like exhausted from like jet lag or lack of fatigue or lack of sleep. And it was it was a little device about the size of a cigarette lighter that you plugged the headphones in, but the headphones had UV light that shot into your ears. And it was
Okay.
supposed exactly, and it was supposed to stimulate like help you get through your jet lag or insomnia. It was like supposed to give you this energy because you were catching these rays of light through your ears.
Into your ears.
Very much so.
Well, okay. So again, this is coming back around because UV light therapy is a thing right now.
I know
that
it's
place
just-
where I went to, I got in like the puff pants and like did all that shit. That they have a UV therapy room there where you go in just in like your underwear and stand in this room and you get like blasted with like red UV light. So it's like this shit's just like all making a comeback, but it's more
in a different
optimized for like modern times, I guess.
They did reference like great things like the XFL. That only
Oh
lasted
shit, I
for
totally
a
forgot
year.
about that.
Dude, so I think in my Instagram post, I did my last two pictures were the front of the jersey, and it didn't even click. We did like 2 laps, and the second lap, I like looked, and it's a "He Hate Me" jersey. I was like, "Oh my god, Amanda, this one's awesome!"
What is that reference?
Because McMahon, when he started the XFL the first time, not only you could use either your last name or you could put some kind of saying on the back of it.
Okay.
So this, I swear to God, he was a DB or something, but he was like, every time I'd be running by somebody, he'd hate me. So that was what was on the back of his jersey. So it was fucking phenomenal. I think he did get picked up. He might have went to Canada or got like at least a tryout for an NFL team. He was actually one of the highlights of the XFL, at least in the first couple games. But I mean, it wasn't really no highlights because they went away quickly and tried to come back again and failed again.
Yeah. Totally forgot about that. I did see the one picture that I thought was all because I had made this comment even before you went about they better have Crystal Pepsi, and they totally did. So I was stoked.
It was such a throwback because the first person I think of is Gabe.
Yeah.
Because I remember when the shit came out and he and I went and he was all into it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so, and like, I guess I didn't realize when this shit happened is people apparently said they liked Pepsi. Why they changed the same time they did Coke too, I'll never know. But the reason they did a new Coke was that people, I guess the people they polled said they liked a sweeter tasting cola like Pepsi over Coke.
Yeah.
And that's why they did the formula change. But the fact that they did not even fucking, I guess, not test it, but the fact they thought they would go unchecked with the new Coke and not worry about old Coke going away is fucking amazing. But apparently the actual idea of Pepsi Clear, like to me, it was like, bring it back because I'm in. I was like, I don't need to have a dark fucking food coloring in my soda to drink it. Like I don't need to see it. And that was kind of the idea, was this kind of clean and clear kind of thought process that people didn't need to have the food coloring, but apparently they did. Like the lobotomy kit, I think I did post that one on Instagram.
Oh shit.
It was like
a home lobotomy kit?
No, it wasn't a home, but it was like I guess it was like there's a skull that had like different areas in a frontal lobe kind of depicted where they were, and it had a hammer and a fucking basically a mallet and then the implement to go into the head to scramble those areas.
That's terrible.
And I mean, is that a failure? It's a failure. It's not a failure on the product. It's a failure of the human thought process.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
Like they had, oh my God, they had like the super fucking plugs for women that they had to ban them because women would leave them in too long because they sucked up. They did their job too well.
Yeah.
So people left them in way too long, and that's where the fucking toxic shock syndrome came from.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, it's like, so there is some of the failures weren't like, it really was some of them were like turds, but then
Yeah.
some of it was like, it's a failure because it did something too well. Like Amanda had one, it's like like a foot loofah thing that they only made it for 2 years. It did its job so well that the part, I guess they were planning on selling to replace, you only had to replace it every fucking 3 years.
Yeah.
So by that time, it's like it was a fail because they did their job too well.
With that being said, you could almost say that every single fucking product made before like the 1980s was a failure. If you want to look at it in like, well, they planned obsolescence type of scenario where like everything's fucking made garbage now. So it like fucking breaks and you have to buy new shit. So yeah, I mean, really any like kitchen appliances made in the 1950s and 60s were complete failures because, and I'll tell you why, my fucking dad just sent me pictures. He bought a 1954 Westinghouse refrigerator for $30 and it still
Works
fucking
like a fucking charm.
Still fucking works. And he got it so cheap because these people were clearing out an old house and it was in the basement and they didn't want to get it out. So they're like, we'll just fucking sell it for dirt fucking cheap. Still fucking works. So dad went and got some other people and they went and fucking got this refrigerator. It's in perfect condition. It looks fucking amazing. It looks like something that came out of like a Jetson spaceship or something. And the light bulb in the refrigerator, so when you open the door, apparently it's still the original one. Yeah, like everything in it completely. He's like, dude, he's like, it's like so nice. He's like, all the handles are all like heavy duty and like have like the old school like click and lock kind of handle. And he's like, dude, $30. And that thing is, what's the math on that? Is that 70 years? 70 years old?
50, yeah. Yeah, if it's 54, it's almost 70 years.
Yeah, so I mean, a 70-year-old fucking refrigerator is still fucking working.
Well, if you remember, like my Uncle Toots, we had that pavilion down at the river, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
We kept nothing but old refrigerators in there because it would flood every other year.
Uh-huh.
But those things, like you clean them out, open it up, let the shit dry out, kick back on and work.
Yeah.
Like it was never like they sat in the pavilion, so they weren't completely in the elements, but those bitches would get flooded every other year, you know, and when the river come up over the bank and fucking all of a sudden the pavilion kind of disappear a little bit.
Yeah.
As long as it was still there, they usually still were.
I know, it's crazy, dude. Yeah, I mean, so like technically, if you want to go that route, I mean, from a capitalistic standpoint, all old technology is a fucking failure because it fucking lasted forever. How you weren't fucking making any money.
Oh my god. Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff like that. And I mean there were like they did have the other laser disky thing that RCA made. It was like those big cartridges that you put in.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. I totally
and then they pop them out.
Yeah.
So they had like that when, but it was like the amount of years in product or development was like 12 years, and it lasted I think 3 years in actual like in the selling climate, in the consumer climate.
Yeah, well, those things are like really rare because I've seen those pop up on eBay. But yeah, because like there was like a laser disc inside the cartridge, basically. Yeah. Totally.
So I mean, like there was a lot of really cool stuff. Like, and then they did have like more of the modern, like the ET games, like the ET game for
the Atari game. Yeah.
They also brought up. It was funny that it was there, but if you remember, I think it was 5 years ago. Fucking Amazon came out with these little. They looked like basically the size of a lighter, and you were supposed to put them near, say, your washing machine, and it was specifically coded when you needed detergent, you could hit the button and it would order it for you.
Oh Jesus.
And I fucking remember that, but I was like, I didn't even understand how it worked. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want in on that.
Yeah.
It was like getting these little keys. You like kept them around your house is what you're supposed to do. So there
You
was
know
just-
what? I kind of remember that now. I never had any of them, but I remember those things.
It was crazy. I think so. There was a lot of cool shit there.
I was looking up about the Blu-ray stuff. So it says the original disc format that became known as Blu-ray was invented as an optical data storage format by Sony that had nothing to do with the actual movies at the time. And then it also says Panasonic, however, actually owns a majority of the Blu-ray patents. Sony didn't create Blu-ray and doesn't own the royalties to them alone. You know what? I opted out of going Blu-ray because I have a very extensive DVD collection. And I was like, man, dude, I can't fucking just like start over on like getting shit on Blu-ray. So I kind of took myself out when it was switched to Blu-ray. I was like, nope, I'm not getting. I think that was like my eureka moment of being like, I think it's like when you go to like a 70-year-old person's house and everything looks the same as when they were like 40 years old. Like I've become that person now because it's like, no, I'm opting out. I'm opting out of how technology moves forward now. Like I'm stopping at DVDs. Like that's why I don't fuck with streaming very much and stuff. I'm just like, I like physical media and I love watching movies and I have all my favorite movies on DVD, but like, do I really need them to be that much better quality and be on Blu-ray and spend all that extra money? And like, nah, fuck it. Like I'm DVDs where I'm stopping. So
See, I didn't do that. Like I didn't feel like I had to replace like my Blazing Saddles DVD with a Blu-ray of Blazing Saddles. Like I didn't feel like that was necessary.
yeah,
I just, as new movies came out and there was an option, and only if it was like a small difference in pricing would I get the Blu-ray over the
gotcha.
fucking DVD. Like I was never sold that I had to, because I think there's a point where the resolution is sharp enough that I don't need it any sharper. I know you're the one that doesn't like it being so sharp.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, there's something about that. I like my movies to have a little bit of rawness to them because I want them to still feel like it's make believe when I watch it versus how shit looks now, where it looks like you put in 2001 Space Odyssey and it looks like you're watching a soap opera.
Those are bad. I know. I think that is a big thing, is how and when it's used.
Yeah, and people like that shit too. It's like, how can you watch this?
Yeah, where it looks like old school porn because it's like shot and you're like, whoa, it's
Yeah,
so
like the
it's not
frame
like
rate's
shot-
all crazy, like the movements
Yeah.
are weird, and it's like like I don't really want a movie to look like the people are actually in my house. And I know people actually love that look, and I'm like, I fucking hate that shit.
It's funny is on the streaming services, sometimes you can see the difference.
Yeah.
Like we watch between even the streaming services, because we watch a couple British shows that their resolution's always been higher anyway back in the day. So when it comes in, you're like, ooh, that's a little crisp. Or it's a little bit deeper than you're used to seeing.
Yeah.
We started Cannonball Run 2 yesterday before
Nice.
Museum of Fail. And it transfers horrible. Like you can still see like popping black spots in the fucking credits and stuff. It's hilarious.
What was like the coolest thing that stood out to you at the Museum of Failure, that if you had to do like a top 3, what are the top 3 things that were awesome there?
All right. So I love the lobotomy kit. I
Okay.
thought that was badass. They had a not Reese's, an Oreo display where they, if you watch, for those of you losers that like to go to the grocery store and buy Oreos like myself, they keep fucking sliding in all these weird flavors. and they had basically a piece of art with all the random fucking flavors, and it is crazy. Like the red velvet one was good, but they had shit that I'd never seen before. I'm like, oh, that sounds horrible. They had a cooler that was a Kickstarter, right? And you paid $200 for the Kickstarter. It raised, I think, 3 million.
Okay.
To this day, it had like a blender on it, Bluetooth sound system. It had all of this shit in it.
Okay.
And I think to this day, nobody has actually received it.
Oh, damn.
I think it went to market. Oh my God. But it was that, I think, was the highlight. Oh, here. I'm going to tell you what my number one, because it's bizarre that this museum clicked back to Gabe for me multiple times.
Okay.
And the second thing that triggered it back is they had fucking lawn darts. A set of lawn darts in there.
No way.
I was like, fucking awesome.
Oh, shit.
I was like, and to me, it meant, once again, it was more about shit that like harkened back like to me and like a period of my life. I posted to the Bomb Threat board the little that again they must do a regional kind of dig on whatever, and the fact they picked Dan Snyder.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was good. Yeah, it's crazy.
Awesome.
Whoever wrote that, dude, they fucking shredded him too. They like no punches pulled at all.
No, I'm wondering if they have somebody local for each stop.
Yeah, maybe. Well, so I want you to talk about this whole T-shirt scenario, and I mean, I know pretty much the story, but you should explain it to everyone because it's pretty fucking cool.
So, as we all know, we've had our talks about aversion here on the podcast, but last week, en route to Starbucks, because we go to Starbucks every morning I'm home, we were sitting in line in Starbucks, and there was a message that popped up into my Instagram feed that was from nobody I knew. He goes, I thought you directed him to me.
Yeah, I think I did, because he wrote me and was like asking about all this stuff, and I was like, oh, you need to talk to this guy.
So he reaches out to me and was like, I heard you sung in a band called Aversion. I think I have one of your t-shirts. And I texted back, I'm like, I did sing in a band a long, long time ago, but I'm pretty sure the shirt you have, because he was from Florida, like in Tampa. I was like, pretty sure the shirt you have is from some band from LA. And he even said that it was a Maryland shirt, but it was just not even clicking.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but if you send me a picture, I will confirm, or I'll be able to tell you right away who it is. And that motherfucker sent back a picture, I swear to God, that I silk screened on one of my grandfather's t-shirts, because that's how Aversion made half their t-shirts.
Stealing Cool Jim's undershirts.
Yes.
We got new shirts. Sorry, they're all mediums.
Pretty much. I almost wanted to ask him what size it was, because that would have been a fucking telltale sign. But so he sent a picture back and it was a fucking shirt. I was like, oh my God, I made that. It was, so it was a total Aversion shirt. And he said something. He was like, great, just let you know, it has a good home. It's not going anywhere. It's like, well, if you ever want to get rid of it, you let me know, because I would probably take that. But he was like, I was the second person, I guess, last week to ask for it, because there's some guy that collects Maryland hardcore punk rock shit.
Really?
That reached out to him, and wanted it. Huh. So it was crazy as shit. So there could be a reissue just because I want one.
Yeah.
The lettering might be a little bit tighter. I swear that you had my test shirt where it had all the prints on it.
I think I still have that.
Straightforward. It had like all these different prints on it.
Yeah.
That should have been on the back of it. And I think Kate had one, but like that, even Heath nor Mike remember that shirt. Like nobody remembers that shirt, but I totally remember it because it was a good one that I could block off and do 2-color prints with because it was an easy, like it was laid out just enough that I could swap out colors pretty easily or just mask out real easily, you know, Aversion and the X on the hand and then screen it, rip them off, and then rescreen it. Like it was a pretty easy one to kind of mask that way.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool though. Definitely wild.
So I was fucking stoked. Like, and it's so funny as I talk to Amanda, we do a lot of reminiscing here, and it's totally not my thing. Like, if you guys would talk to me out in general, you would never get any of this shit out of me. Like, so it's bizarre as fuck to have like even like that little stuff come back because it's very much out of my wheelhouse. It's not a been there, done that, but it's definitely been there, did that, and let's go on to the next one.
Yeah.
So it's really it's so bizarre. So the fact that we're even talking about that, yeah, it's nuts.
I don't know. It's just cool though, because I mean, think of like how long ago that was, and that something you made from that long ago surfaced in someone's life, and it's something they kind of still cherish. And it's,
they still cherish it because he doesn't want to get rid of it. It's so no, that part was really fucking cool. And like I said, it took me back a little bit. Actually, it's been weird. So I didn't even tell you this story. So this actually kind of ties in a weird way because I bring up Mike and Heath. So 2 weeks before, I set up this fucking booth and I'm sitting there, right? So this was like a retail convention and they had like a retailer's row, but like right out of right out of the corner of my eye was a Little Caesars booth. And I'm kind of like looking at it. This fucking dude rolls in. I'm like, it could be somebody I remember, but I'm not positive. So our GC actually had a booth across from us. And he just starts shooting the shit with this guy. And he starts going through his family's lineage with Little Caesars. And he's like, well, we started out in Hagerstown and then opened one in Frederick. And I'm like, holy fuck. I was like, I worked for him. Like, that was my manager at Little Caesars in high school.
No fucking way. Well, I remember you worked there, obviously, but that's crazy that that dude was still associated with Little Caesars.
So he hadn't been. He left and came back. So, but it was just crazy because he's telling this guy a story, and I just walked up. I'm like, all right, I'm going to interrupt. I was like, and I introduced myself. I was like, I worked for you for at least a year. He's like, and he was like, could not remember me to prove that I worked for you. I was like, XYZ. And he was like, yep, that's me. I'm like, I know it's fucking you. And he was so sad that he didn't remember me, but he gave 3 fucks because how many fucking people do they see? I mean, I was just a young kid. I mean, we did do shit together, but there are people that I've done shit with that I have they can come up and introduce themselves and I would have no idea.
Yeah, and that was what, like 32 years ago or something?
Exactly. So I definitely wasn't upset with it, but it started this whole conversation. So I sat down, I text Mike and Heath. I'm like, oh my God, I just saw Junior from fucking Little Caesars and he is sitting across the fucking floor from me. It was just so bizarre. So it was just funny. So I reached out to them and that started this whole weird old school aversion kick that weekend. And then to have Saturday morning, that whole thing with the t-shirt, it was very bizarre.
Yeah.
Small world type fucking thing.
That is really crazy. Huh. Yeah, especially it's each one of those situations is odd enough on its own, but for them to both coincide on the same weekend. Yeah.
I mean, within 24 hours of each, it happened, and both of them didn't remember that shirt either. Fucking hilarious. It must have been a latter one, I guess. But I kind of remember doing them at my parents' house, so that was like maybe he should have remembered. I don't know. I did a lot of shirts too because I like to draw.
I definitely have a memory of being at your grandparents' house on a day where you were screening shirts. I don't remember which ones you were screening, and honestly, I don't even know why I was there. Maybe you were doing a show that day, and I might have already been like with you hanging out, and it was just like the pre-show hangout at your house. But you were definitely screening shirts outside.
Yeah, I mean, we ran out. We ran a lot of shirts. It's just funny thinking about the fact that I raided my fucking grandfather's undershirts and stole them.
Those people don't realize how much more valuable those shirts are now. Like they're like 2 levels of awesome. Like they're just super rare because the Aversion X shirts are rare anyway. But then to have a fucking something from Cool Gym collection,
that is fucking hilarious. Oh my god,
that's like finding like a Louis Vuitton at the Goodwill or something.
Here's the sitch. There's been a glitch.
All right, okay, hold on. So we were gonna end, but now we're not gonna end because there's something else that I don't even know about.
Today I have to look at the name because it's a stupid fucking name, but it was like a mini Comic-Con, maybe a little less comic oriented, more just pop culture oriented.
Okay.
But they had it was called the Nerd Car Show. So they had fucking Kit.
No way.
They had the fucking A-Team van.
Nice.
And then like the car from Supernatural. They had the DeLorean.
Yeah.
From Back to the Future. They had the 1960s, of course they're all replicas. The 1960s Batmobile was there. We stood in line next to the guy who did Squidward.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, it was cool. And it was kind of like our anniversary weekend. And the whole reason we went is when we worked with each other, we used to fucking do the A-Team fucking theme across the wall to each other for some reason. And so it was like we had to go do it. It was crazy. Not a typical Curtis Amanda weekend, but I think next weekend's just as crazy. Alba Twitch Festival, baby. Alba Twitch.
Oh, nice.
And that'll be my birthday.
Hell yeah, dude.
All right there, tough guy.
All right. Well, talk to you guys next time.
Adios, fuckers.
Later.
This podcast was brought to you by Potty Mouth Records. Contact us at pottymouthrecords@gmail.com and find us on the web at pottymouthrecords.rocks. That's .rocks.
That was way better than I expected. That was awesome.